You want to improve your English speaking, but you don't know where to start? You know a lot of English words, but you have a hard time making sentences in English? You know why? The reason is you don't learn common English phrases and sentence patterns. Do you? These phrases and patterns are said as basic units for you to make much more correct sentences in English. If you master just one common English phrase or a sentence pattern, you can make hundreds of correct sentences. This is the easiest way to make sentences in English. So without wasting any time, let's see it. The first is, are you sure? Let's see some examples of it. The first is, are you sure about that? Or another example is, are you sure of what you said? The third is, are you sure that he's not coming?
I've had so many problems with my new car. It's driving me crazy.
Are you sure you don't want to buy a new one?
How can I? I already spent a lot of money on this one.
I guess you'll be spending a lot of money on repairs then.
I guess so. Unless you want to buy the car.
No, thanks. I don't think I'd want to buy your car. It has too many problems.
I don't blame you. It's a piece of junk.
The second pattern is, are you used to? And then ing form. It simply means, क्या आपको ये करने की आदत है? For an example, are you used to using chopsticks? Or another is, are you used to smoking? And the third is, are you used to staying up late?
How long have you been living in China?
About 3 years now.
Are you used to eating the food here?
Yes, I like it very much.
What about chopsticks? Are you used to using them?
It took me a while to get used to it, but now it's a piece of cake.
Let's see the third pattern. As far as. It means jahan tak. For example, as far as I can remember, he didn't come home until midnight. Another is, as far as I recollect, there are few people in the village then. Let's see one more example. As far as I recall, they quarreled very often at that time. And the last example is, as far as I can see, he is a big liar.
Have you seen Tom?
No. As far as I can remember, he was supposed to be on a business trip to Lisbon.
Yes, but he was supposed to be back by now.
Have you called his home?
Yeah, but there is no answer.
Maybe you should call the police and file a missing persons report.
The next pattern is, be careful with. It simply means, dhyan rakhna. Let's see a few examples. For example, be careful with the wet paint. Another is, be careful that you don't catch a cold. Put on more clothes before you go out. And the third is, be careful not to spill the milk.
She has been calling me for several days now. I think she's interested in me.
Are you sure? I think she already has a boyfriend.
How do you know?
A friend of hers told me. I'd be careful if I were you.
Why?
Because I heard her boyfriend is a weightlifter.
Wow, you're right. I guess I better not call her.
The last pattern is, but this doesn't mean that. It simply means कि इसका ये मतलब तो नहीं. Let's see a few examples. We are your employees, but this doesn't mean that we must obey you unconditionally. Let's see one more. You are much older than I am, but it doesn't mean that you are right about everything. The next is, I support this measure, but this doesn't mean that I support you without reservation. The last is, I like you, but this doesn't mean that I'll marry you. तो मैं तुम्हें पसंद तो करती हूँ, but इसका मतलब ये तो नहीं कि मैं तुमसे शादी करूँगी.
Dear, we have been driving around aimlessly for hours. Don't you think we should ask for directions?
Look, honey, maybe we've been driving for a long time, but this doesn't mean that we're lost.
Really? Then what have we been doing all this time?
Well, we're taking the scenic route.
Oh, I see. You just don't want to admit that we're lost. You know, sometimes you're too proud.
Okay, we're lost, but this does not mean that you have to rub it in.
Well, listening is the key to better speaking English. The more real English phrases and sentences patterns you listen to, the more fluent you will become, to be sure. So try to frame some sentences out of these patterns. I'll be back with some more.